Well, hello everyone. I hope the beginning of your week is going super. I hope you used your time in the house of the Lord yesterday to establish your faith and to prepare yourself for great things for this upcoming week. It's Monday. Welcome to today's edition of Take 5. Hey, this week on Take 5, we're going to be breaking down the message that I preached yesterday. That's actually part 2 of a message that I started 2 weeks ago. That message is entitled Through Faith and Patience. Hebrews chapter 6 verse number 12 says that we do not need to become lazy or sluggish, but we should imitate those who through faith and patience inherit the promises of God. Imitate those who through faith and patience. That's where we got the title from there in that very verse. Now, a couple of weeks ago when we first began talking about this subject, we dealt with the through part. And we got 4 definitions from the scriptures and 4 different scenarios from the scriptures that we learn about going through things. It's necessary. We can't avoid going through things. To get to the promises of God, you've got to finish the season you're in to get to the next one. The only way you can finish the season you're in is to go through it. You can't skip summer and go straight to fall. You've got to go through it. Through represents the process of events that are necessary to get us to the promises of God. There's always a process. Sometimes God does things immediately, but more times than none, there's a process that we have to go through. So we talked about that through pretty intensely. Today I want to deal with the faith portion of that verse. Notice the phrase in there. He said we're to imitate those who through faith and patience. So I want to talk about the faith portion of that verse today. Now there are all different kinds of opinions about what makes great faith in the church today. All you have to do is just flip through the channels or listen to the radio, if anybody even does that anymore, or your favorite podcast, or scroll through religious readings, or even visit a church or two. And all you have to do is you can do that and you'll find out all kind of different opinions about what it takes to make great faith. Some say in order to have great faith, you've got to be sinless. Well, that can't be. That means none of us will ever have great faith because we're going to deal with sin all the days of our life. I didn't say we'd be bound with it, but we're going to deal with it all the days of our life. Some say in order to have great faith, you have to say right positive things over and over again, and this produces faith. But you and I both have said good things only to see them go bad. Some say that great faith is witnessed when you get everything that you pray for, but then that throws us out. Others say that to have great faith, you have to bring the right offering to God, the right amount of money to God, but you can't buy anything from God. Then there are those that say that great faith is the absence of sickness and poverty and hardships and trials, and that counts me out again because we all have those things that we have to deal with. When you rightly divide the scriptures, you're going to find that none of these ideas are correct. They sound good to our carnal minds. They sound real good to our flesh, but they are not an accurate description of what the Bible calls great faith. In Hebrews chapter 11, the writer there writes and records about all the great men and women of faith throughout the scriptures. He talks about people like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses and Noah and so many others that are there. And he writes and writes and writes, and when he's about to run out of ink and parchment, he comes to the end of the chapter and he says these words. I want you to listen carefully. He says, "Do I need to give more examples? I don't have enough time to tell you about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and the prophets. All of them had great faith. And with that faith, they defeated kingdoms. They did what was right. God helped them in the ways He promised. With their faith, some people closed the mouths of lions and they were able to stop blazing fires. Others escaped from being killed with swords. Some who were weak were made strong. They became powerful in battle and defeated armies. There were women who lost loved ones but got them back when they were raised from death. All of that sounds like great faith. That's what I want to be a part of. But then the writer goes on, and next he says, but then others were tortured and refused to accept their freedom. They did this so they could be raised from death to a better life. Some were laughed at and beaten. Others were tied and put in prison. They were killed with stones. They were cut in half. They were killed with swords. Man, this is killing me because this doesn't sound like great faith. They only had clothes. Some of them had that were sheepskins and goat skins. They were poor. They were persecuted and treated badly by others. The world was not good enough for these great people. They had to wander in deserts and mountains, living in caves and holes in the ground. But listen to this. But God was pleased with all of them because of their faith. Now, did you hear that? We've got all of these people that did these great things and had these great miracles because of faith. And then we had these people that suffered persecution and all sorts of problems in their life, and God commended them for their great faith as well. So whose faith was greater? Was it the people that subdued the kingdoms and stopped the mouths of lions and survived the violence? Or was it the people who were tortured and mocked and beaten and stoned and sawn in half and persecuted, and those that lived in caves? The fact was, God commended all of them for faith, because faith doesn't have anything to do with the journey, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the outcome. Faith has everything to do with us trusting God completely with the situation, regardless of what it is. Hey, hang out with me this week. We're going to learn some pretty valuable things about faith as we talk about this subject. And I believe we might even find out that faith is not necessarily what we think it is or what we've heard. But when we rightly divide it with the Bible, we'll find out that faith is trusting God every step of the way, regardless of the outcome, because I know He has my best interest at heart. Well, I hope you have a great Monday. I look forward to being with you right here tomorrow on Tuesday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you. Have a great day. Put your faith in God, friend. He will never fail you.